We have been thinking about the various aspects of worship in the previous talks. We have seen why we worship, where we need to worship, and how we need to worship, and this kind of questions. Now, in order for the worship to become effective, to be fruitful, we need to worship in the right way. Now, throughout the worship, those who give leadership to the worship, the leaders of the worship, usually tell us to stand well during the worship. Snauman Kalos is something that they repeat usually. It's a Greek word. It means stand well. Kalos means well, and Snauman means stand. So let us stand well. That's the meaning of that. So now the question that we ask is, how do we stand well in the worship? What does exactly that mean? Now, stand well is actually a short form. Now and then they expand it. At one time, the leaders of the worship say like this: at this time, we need our awareness and our thoughts and our feelings to be in the presence of the Lord. So that is standing well. Standing well is actually, we are not talking about our body, we are talking about our mind. We need our mind to be in a meditative state. We need our mind to be concentrated in concentration, in a state of meditation. So let us think about this a little bit. How do we get into a meditative state? What exactly is the meditative state? We all know about ECG, which is electrocardiogram. They do that to examine our heart, to find out how the heart works. Now there is something else called EEG, which is electroencephalogram. They do that to examine our brain. Instead of putting it on the heart, they put the nodes on different parts of the head, and they take the reading, EEG. Now in that way they can find out if the brain is working right. Let's say my EEG is taken. So right now I am awake. Now if my EEG is taken and it shows the waves will be shown in a certain way. And let's say I sleep after some time and my EEG is taken when I am asleep, and the EEG will be slightly different. And let's say I get into a meditative state after some time, and EEG is taken again during the meditation, and the EEG will be again different. So from this, what we understand is that we are talking about three different levels of awareness, consciousness. When I'm asleep, I am unconscious. My consciousness is turned off. Now when I'm awake, I'm conscious. And when I'm in the meditative state, I am in a level. My consciousness is actually a level which is above the usual level of consciousness. So when we are worshipping, we need to be at that super level, that level which is above the level of consciousness, that super conscious level. We may say that that's when our inner eye gets opened. So when our higher level of consciousness is active, we will be able to see things which we usually don't see. We'll be able to hear things which we don't hear, or our mind expands. So meditation actually helps us to expand our mind, to attain more humanness. Now, how do we do it? How do we get into the meditative state? Usually we hear a lot about meditation, but we lack the knowledge of how to meditate. How exactly should we do that? Now, I'm not a great expert on meditation, but I can say what I usually do. The first thing that I do is I relax all my muscles in my body. The reason is this: my brain is directly connected with my muscles. Because if I need to move a muscle, the order has to come from my brain through the motor nerves to all the muscles in the body. Now, they are closely connected because I may have to move when there's an emergency. See, I may have to run for, I may to call for help or run to escape from something. So I will have to, I'm in a state of readiness. So my brain is constantly connected with my muscles. So the first thing we need to do is relax all the muscles, means detach the brain from the muscles. Tell the brain that you are okay. You are not in a state of emergency. You are perfectly safe. So sit down somewhere calm, quiet, sit or stand when you are in the church, but relax all the muscles. The next thing we need to do is concentrate, means have our attention in one point. Usually our attention just move around, just go here and there. But when you meditate, we need to have our meditation in one point. Where? We have five senses. We can have our attention on any one of the senses. The one sense that we use mostly is our eyes. So we can look at something, look at a picture or a sight, and then close our eyes and see that in our mind and have the mind right there, have the attention right there. So that is actually an exercise. We are keeping the mind at a point. At the beginning, it might be a little difficult keeping the mind at a point. But by practice, we can become better at that. So keeping the mind steady at a sight. We can also keep our mind steady in a sound that we hear. For example, when we are in the church, we hear music, we sing songs, we can have our mind there. We can have our attention steady in the music, in the songs we sing. That's another way of concentration. We can also have our mind steady on our skin, on our feeling, how the body feels. We can also have our mind on our breathing, on our smell, and also on our taste. But sight is the most important thing, and also hearing, and also we can concentrate, we can have the mind steady on how we feel. These three are the primary ones. People who know more about our brain say that we have what is called reptilian brain at the center of our brain. That means we share the same kind of brain with the reptiles, like the snake and the lizard and everything. On top of that, we have mammalian brain, the same brain like the cats and dogs and cows have. And on top of that, we have our neocortex, which is here on top. So when we meditate, it's a good practice to concentrate, pay attention to the neocortex so that we can develop it further.